Hi everyone, it's Becky here. So a few days ago, I started a new sketchbook. So this sketchbook has 68 pages. I'm planning to finish one page every day, and I think I should be able to finish it by March the 10th. So because I'm teaching people how to do this on Sundays, it's more motivating for me to sketch more often. And also because I finished my master's thesis paper, I have a lot more time to sketch every day now. So pretty excited to start this new journey. So this sketchbook is another Arteza watercolor sketchbook. So now let me show you the sleeve. So here, I bought this sketchbook on Amazon for about $28. The size of this sketchbook is 8.25 by 8.25 inches square. And the paper weight is pretty heavy, 110 pounds. Perfect for watercolors. And the surface of the paper, I think, is cold pressed. So it's very smooth. It's great for pen line work. Dual-sided, acid-free. Yeah. Very ideal for watercolor techniques. Okay, so now let me share with you how to start on the first page of a new sketchbook or art journal. So these four sketchbooks were my old sketchbooks. So this sketchbook is from 2019, before the start of the pandemic. And so let me show you the first page. So here I sketched my sketching materials. I had a Mongyu watercolor palette back then, and yeah, pretty much the same water brushes, one finer liner, and two pencils. So I did the view outside my apartment room window back in Montreal on the background. I pretty like this page design. This one is a more recent one, and again, I sketched my Etchr watercolor palette and my brushes and pens and the summer view outside my reading room window. This one is from years ago. It's from 2016 to 2017, so pretty simple. I had a Sakura watercolor palette and 3 water brushes, 2 fine liner pens. Pretty simple. So this idea is inspired by other sketchers that I saw on social media. So I just follow their kind of their first page prompt to sketch current art materials. This one is a another one from 2016. Yeah, again, I sketched my watercolor palette, brushes, and I used the fountain pen back then. Yeah. So I think it's pretty helpful to quickly show you my very minimalistic sketching materials. So first of all, I always begin by drawing with a waterproof ink pen. So right now I am using Etchr brand. The tip is small. It doesn't have a specific number, so it's just small. I think it's about 0.3 mm for the line work. And then I use 2 water brushes. This one is a Holbein Water Brush with a large tip, round tip, and this one is Sakura brand water brush with a medium tip for finer details. And I use a watercolor palette made by Etchr, and it has 24 half pan colors in it. I've been using this for almost 1 year now, and so the colors last for a long time. So every time when I'm painting, I have to switch between the colors. So I clean my brush tips on a towel. So right now, well, it's pretty paint stained. Yeah. And here is my brand new sketchbook. And for the first page, I kept it really simple. I just sketched the evening sunset sky outside my reading room window on January the 7th. Now let me show you my drawing and painting process. So this is the sky in the evening around sunset after the rain. And I'm going to sketch it on the very first page, the cover page of my art journal. So first of all, I'm going to write down the title of this art journal, Winter to Spring 2022. And starting on January the 7th, I'm probably going to finish it in March. And now just drawing a rectangular frame just to easily fit everything inside and to make this first page nice and clean. And now I'm just drawing the 2 evergreen trees on the left hand side and the rooftop and the side of the house of my neighbors. Just a little bit, because these 2 are pretty important foreground elements to suggest steps, a sense of distance, and the balconies. And below the 2 evergreen trees, I see rails and some little trees. Kind of just drawing what I see. So when drawing a random scenery like this in everyday life, we don't have to draw every single detail out there. As I mentioned before in my previous videos, as artists, we really have to be selective. Draw the ones that is, the most important, that defines the nature of the scenery. So for example, when I see a lot of trees, large and small, so I'm drawing them, but I'm not drawing every single branch and twig. I'm paying more attention to the essential ideas like the size, proportions, and perspectives, rather than focusing on the unnecessary details. So now I'm starting to draw the rooftop and the upper part of the house in the middle. I've been drawing this house so many times over 10 years, so I'm pretty familiar with the structure. Simplifying it into little shapes merged together, lots of squares, rectangles, the windows, coloring them in with solid black just to give the house more density. Drawing the foreshortened rooftops behind it. Connecting that with a lamp. And another tree here. And the perspective line of the street. Another pole behind, some more trees behind, the mountain in the distance, and just drawing this other house rooftop, top floor, windows, balcony, and the bottom part with a car parked by the street side. Okay, and now I'm connecting the other rooftop closer to me and the huge snow pile. Here, just keep everything really simple in general shapes. There's another little tree there. Just add a few more twigs for this cherry tree in the foreground. Street line on the other side. And that's it for the drawing part. Now the sky has changed. The cloud on top looks much larger and denser. But I love that stripe of pink-orange cloud there. And now it's time to paint my impressions with watercolors. As always, I like to paint the sky first by wetting it with clear water first by squeezing my water brush. And now I'm laying down the mix of magenta with orange for the stripes of clouds that I see. Using pretty thin brush strokes, mixing in quite a lot of water too. Mix purple with ultramarine blue for the dark cloud on top. For the first layer right now, I like to keep everything light and not too dense. Now I'm putting on cerulean blue mixed with a tiny bit of light green to have this turquoise color in between the clouds. I love this color. Also creates a really nice contrast with the warm colors. And now I'm adding some orange pink on that tree there because it's kind of reflected onto the evergreen tree. And ultramarine blue on top of the purple cloud. Just wet on wet. I waited for about half a minute for the first layer to dry a bit before I added this second layer of cloud shades. Because if the first layer was too wet, the wet on wet technique is gonna go uncontrolled. So right now the wetness is just right. So when painting watercolors, we really have to learn about how long your watercolor dries depending on the season, the temperature of the air. Okay, so now I think the sky is pretty much done. I just wetted the street with clear water and just adding this leftover color, mix of burnt sienna with ultramarine blue green. Nice and light. And some yellow ochre for the houses. And just using the leftover color, the brownish blue, to paint the pile of snow there, just to give it 3 dimension really quickly. And now I just mixed viridian green with burnt sienna and a little bit ultramarine blue to get this dark green tone for the evergreen trees there. So the lighting at this hour of the day is really special. It's changing the color of these trees. So if you have seen my other sketches of this same scenery in my previous videos, the greens look different. So that's why I never get tired of sketching the same scenery, because every time it looks different. It gives me a different sensations. So now I'm adding bits of dark brown by mixing in ultramarine blue into burnt sienna, just to paint the tiny bits of rooftops showing as the snow is melting right now. And also gives more 3 dimension to these rooftops, those pyramid shapes. And a little bit more for the sidewalk. It looks a little bit muddy because the snow is melting fast. A little bit rooftop showing here for this floor. Add a bit of shade for the houses. So the parts of the house that's going in a bit, like the front door part, is darker because it is in shade. It's not in direct light. And now I'm adding another layer of darker tone of green for these trees. So again, we can make a viridian green darker by mixing in burnt sienna and a little bit of ultramarine blue, just to give these trees more definition. So now I think the main things are well painted. I'm just gonna work on the last bit of little details. Just paint that house here and the fence. This car here, gray, using leftover colors. The little rooftop coming in a bit. And now I'm just putting a bit of a watery brown for the cherry tree here because I just want to give it more life this way. And last bit of shade for the sidewalk here. It looks a little bit more dynamic. And I think that's it. Here's the look of my finished sketch. So thank you so much for watching my video. If you like my video, please click like and leave me a comment below. Subscribe to my channel for weekly updates. And I will see you very soon again next time. Have a great weekend.